Oh, okay. Right. So from the last time we met, all of you, was we had like many meetings, and we have been finalizing all kinds of practical stuff. Like we have finalized our mission and vision. And if I just speak out for the mission, it's of course, as you know, trying to put everything into like one sentence is kind of a challenge, but I think we kind of put all our efforts together and a lot of culture, so we kind of just came down to this mission to inspire and diverse coffee roasting community through the development and promotion of the roasting profession. Pretty good, isn't it? And then the vision, maybe you, Emilio, want to do the mission?
Yes, of course. So, you know, this whole process actually began when the two associations decided to unify and merge the SCAA and the SCAE. And it's been since March that we've been putting this together, and it's been a collaborative effort, and you know, lots of idea, lots of potential, and lots of good things for the future. So we, you know, on coming and concluding on a vision, most importantly, you know, we want to be seen as an association that, you know, not just our members, but the roasting community in general desires to be part of. And then we, you know, we are a trade association, first of all, and in a community as well. So, you know, we one of our objectives and our missions is that our members thrive and their businesses thrive together. So, you know, that thriving part of our mission had to be like a seal there, you know, because that is what we're here for. So our vision is to be the most desired and thriving community of engaged members, attracting every coffee roaster worldwide, meaning that also we would like to be seen and to be a very inclusive worldwide guild, again, dedicated to help our members and the coffee industry, specifically the roasting industry, thrive. So this is, you know, that is our vision. With that, again, our work started, you know, when the two associations decided to merge, but specifically, our first meeting as Roasters Guild and Roasters Guild of Europe happened back in March. There, we started the planning, as we said in the first webinar, and one of the first big steps was to create or to come up with a succession plan or a timeline of when things will start and by when and all that. So I'm very proud to say, you know, like you know, we as an association, for us, this is a major accomplishment because first of all, you know, it is a team of us that have been working on this. And again, this is an example to all, you know, to all the guilds and specifically to our association. You know, we've been the first guild to unified, and we are very proud of that. So again, we started back in March. We put a timeline and objectives and common objectives, first of all, as the two guilds, you know, are working now on something together. We had to come up with new bylaws as well. And again, the succession plan, you know, the first year is very hard because there's two sides when we first started to meet. Then we started feeling like a single, you know, guild, which that is what we're aiming to do, obviously. But it started feeling good to work as a team. So, you know, the first year, you know, that we will have, you know, so like the Roasters Guild had their executive council, and then the RGE had their working group. In this case, we have decided to call, you know, this group the Advisory Council, just a little bit similar to what the bigger association has. So we, you know, this group would be called the Roasters Guild Advisory Council. this advisory council is divided or has two groups: the officers and then the members at large. There's 12 total, and there will be 4 officers. The 4 officers are comprised, or as it is right now, has an immediate past chair. In that case, it is Conrad Olesak. And then we also have a second vice chair, Jen Apodaca. Sonia Bjorkgren is going to be the vice chair. And myself, for a year, I'll be the acting chair of this group. Also, again, there's 8 members at large. These members at large will be, again, 8 of them. And these are Philip Arkeblom, Joanna Alm, Tony Auger, Philip Bartolak, Stephen Lee, Joe Morocco, David Myers, and Morton Moncho. As you might have noticed, it's pretty much divided in 2 from both heritage guilds. And we, for the first year at least, we want to be, fair to both groups. And we decided to just cut it right in the middle, the heritage RG and the RGE. So it's split in 2 from the very advisory council to the rest of the members at large. Just like what we had to go through with new bylaws and new common objectives, new mission, vision, we had to also make some strategic or key strategic changes to the guild. So for that, I'm gonna turn it over to Mary Telly, our current Roasters Guild past chair, and she's gonna go over a little bit of the key strategic changes that our associations had to go through. So Mary, what can you tell us?
Hi, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for inviting me, as well as thank you for jumping onto this webinar during your busy work days. So Emilio, thank you very much, and Sonia. This is super exciting as we walk through this unification, and part of my responsibilities as I've matriculated from the Heritage Roasters Guild onto the new SEA board has been an opportunity to straddle both the guild side of what's going on as well as the board. I'd like to start with the guild side and some of the things that we've had an opportunity to work with, and some of the opportunities and the strategies we've put to case during unification. And when the unification committee came about, one of the things that came out of that way back in March, as Emilio said, was the opportunity for us to create what we believe to be is a new and very strategic opportunity for us to have a new committee, which will be led by Jen Apodaca, who, by the way, is unfortunately cannot attend today. But she asked me to speak on this, and it's certainly something that is that we're creating a new committee, and that committee is inclusion and diversity. Jen will be the interim chair of this, and this is super important. And we are currently establishing this right now under the Coffee Roasters Guild. But keep in mind that, again, from a board perspective, and I will speak to this a little later, is that this is also something that's very much on the forefront and on the slate of discussions at the board level as well. We are also looking at existing members and leaders to help us create this committee, and so we absolutely want to be able to move that into inviting individuals who would like to have an opportunity to participate in this committee. This is, again, a very important opportunity for us from a Coffee Roasters Guild. This is aligned with our vision and our mission to make sure that we have an opportunity to improve upon this and make this something clearly that works through 2018 and then some. If you're interested, I think that we'll have an opportunity at the end of this presentation to engage our members into how to get hold of Jen, as well as what will take place. A little bit about this committee is that it will meet on a monthly basis. There will be meetings. We will be creating and some of the goals and responsibilities. If you would like, I'll just spend a minute on it because I do think it's that important, is that we will have a creation and oversight of written guidelines and goals, of course, for the Coffee Roasters Guild. We'll work with the past chair during elections and nominations in the election cycle to ensure leadership and diversity. Provide Roasters Guild, Coffee Roasters Guild leadership with annual reports on the diversity and recommendations from an action plan. And also, and importantly, certainly, is aid and collaborate with all of the subcommittees to achieve diversity across all the committees. So this is something that's very important. And thank you for the opportunity to having let me share that. From a broader perspective, or as many of you who've often had an opportunity to sit on some of our conference calls, I always refer to it at the 30,000-foot level, and that's a little bit more of the board view of what is going on here. I think, again, it's more of an iteration as to what has occurred from a unification standpoint in the Coffee Roasters Guild, and that is that we are in the process of onboarding and bringing in both Heritage SCAA and SEAE members, and from a board perspective, make sure that we are understanding and meeting the needs of all of our members. And the vision at the SEA level is similar to what we discussed at the that Sonia had mentioned as far as the vision for the Coffee Roasters Guild, and that is clearly to create an effective, authentic, and dynamic organization to give voice and substance to the possibilities for specialty coffee worldwide and on an international stage for sure. Again, we've been able to invite and engage all of the guilds, including the up and coming and new guilds, to work on this with us. And my role as the liaison, if you will, between the guild, the Roasters Guild, Coffee Roasters Guilds, both the Heritage RGE and the Heritage Roasters Guild, has been an opportunity to make sure that we have a guild thread throughout many of the decisions that is happening at the board level. The mission, excuse me, of the SCA is to engage, inspire, and expand sustainable global specialty coffee trade through leadership in events, education, and research. And that clearly is, every time I take the chair at a board meeting, this is in the back of my mind from a responsibility of what does that look like as a coffee roaster worldwide? And so that is from the 30,000 foot. Specifically, what we are working on now is, of course, making sure that the new pillars, advisory councils that we have, that their budgets are in line. And so we are now in the process of finalizing the 2018 pro forma and budgets. We're looking at doing that. We are also looking at refining some of the chapters and how they exist and what that looks like, again, from a perspective of making sure that it fits into the vision and the mission of the SCA. Likewise, and simultaneously, I work with Andrew, who represents the Barista Guild, and we have also had an opportunity to sit in and have discussions on what that would look like at the board level. And so that's been an engaging opportunity. I am certainly happy to address individual questions if anyone has any, specifically on these issues, on these milestones, really, but also if anybody has any certain questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those at any time to engage specifically at what might be something you would be looking for as far as a report out from myself, and as I matriculate off and as the new past chair Conrad moves in.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I think to continue with Mary was talking about one of our committees. We do have more committees, 7 total, And I think it would be a great idea if Andy would probably give us a little bit of insight into the committees.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sonia. This is Andy, and I'm a former member of the Roasters Guild Executive Council, and I've been part of the unification efforts really starting in September of last year, though more formally launching in March of this year, as has been mentioned. So just here to share a little bit about the committees that are going to be opportunities for everybody to get involved. And one thing I will say is that I feel committee level work is some of the most fun and influential place to do work within a community. So I hope that everybody who is part of the Coffee Roasters Guild community gets engaged, takes a look at what the committee work is, and volunteers some time. So I want to encourage that. Just to let you know how we got to these 7 committees, when we were in the process of merging the organizations and beginning the bylaw writing process, which started over the summer, we took a look at the committees that existed for the former Roasters Guild in America and also the working group of Roasters Guild Europe. And we talked about what committee and working groups we each had. We decided, are they the right groups for this new combined organization? And came up with a list that looks very similar to the former list, but there are some changes to it. So these are the committees that we have. We have membership, and membership is going to be engaged in the primary vision and mission of the organization, which is contributing to a thriving and engaged membership. So that group will be working together to align with staff and with all of the various factions. One primary important task of membership committee in the first year of the CRG is going to be doing some data and research and construction of a potential chapter structure, which will allow us to support more thriving local communities around the world while still maintaining a connection and a through line to the larger CRG organization. So that's going to be some really exciting and also some hard work coming up in the next year. The events committee is fairly straightforward, but it's a ton of work and also a lot of fun. We'll be supporting events and origin trips. Staff, I should mention that in all of this work, the staff of the association is highly involved, a lot of very trained and skilled people working with the groups, but the committees are very influential and there's a lot of time and opportunity. So with the events, you would be participating in supporting events and origin trips with a lot of staff support as well. Education and research is the next one. And this is one modification we made in the new CRGAC, which is to add research into it. So this group will be working on researching, developing emerging knowledge in the industry and supporting education opportunities throughout CRGAC events and also through training centers, etc. And of course, the focus is going to be largely on a lot of roaster focused content that is important to the roasting community of the world. Communications also has a lot of strong support from the SCA Association, and they'll support all communications, things like this webinar, social media, articles, etc. And that group works together to support content, suggest content, create content, support editing of content, and generating new ideas around what we need to be talking to membership about. Sustainability is also new and exciting. This is a group that is going to be about info gathering from the industry, disseminating information, best practices, and making recommendations for a sustainability lens throughout everything that the organization does. So that's very exciting. Competitions is of course, the organization that's going to be very active in organizing competitions like Roasters Champion, member-driven events, and probably over time a lot of additional and new interesting events given the diversity of the community that we're going to have. So they'll be supporting local events and larger CRG-sponsored events and competitions or competition events specifically. And then last, Mary's talked a lot about this, but this is a new committee that we're very excited about. It was very important. This was brought to the table by Joanna, who was on the unification committee, as an important committee to have. And since then, it's even grown in its scope and in its sort of need for the association. So these are our 7 committees. I would encourage everybody who has any interest in any or all of those to engage with the CRGAC leadership after this and find out where and how you can be involved. Just a little bit on structure, I forgot. Each one of the committees will be chaired by a member of the Advisory Council and it will include CRG members. The sizes will be discretionary based on each committee chair. So particular times of year or particular years, they might be larger or smaller. They might flex with what the workload is going to look like for a coming period of time. Different task forces, subcommittees, etc., might be formed as needed to take on specific projects and contained work. The chair of each committee will have an ongoing reporting responsibility to the Advisory Council and making sure that they keep on task to the larger goals of the CRG AC organization and, of course, the larger goals of the SCA as well. Meeting cadence and format is going to be at the discretion of each committee chair, but there are some things, if you're interested in committee work or interested in how this work is going to work effectively, both the bylaws and a supporting rules of procedure document, which are now published, have some specifics about how we suggest that the committees function to make sure that they actually get through some work. And we're going to break to, I'll let Sonia take back over to introduce some of the very specific activities.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Andy. Very exciting about all these committees. So maybe we need somebody to tell us a little bit what those committees' activities are going to go. So maybe Steve could take this one.
Yeah, great. So one of the things that I know a lot of people were concerned about when we're talking about unification, and I've gone to a couple of events and asked people about unification, was events, because that's a really important part of what we do as the Roasters Guild and RGE, what they were doing. And people were worried about their events going away. And in fact, the events aren't going away. We're actually going to be increasing events. And so I think this is really good news for everybody. And we have a lot of events on the calendar already for 2018, and we're looking into more. And with that, Origin trips and the events are starting to work with the Sustainability Council as well, and with SCA Sustainability. And really the framework behind that is that the Sustainability Center and Kim Elena as the chief officer, they're really tasked with developing sustainability with events, especially Origin trips. This benefits everybody, and really adding value for our members to these trips by helping the CRG audience to be able to build a strategy around their buying decisions, how to be sustainable partners, and how to really look at sustainability from like a roasting and a buying and an Origin trip level. I've been really focusing a lot on Origin trips from my own work with the committees, and right now we have a couple in the books that are scheduled. So get out your pencils and mark your calendars. In the beginning of February 2nd through 11th, we're planning to go to Yunnan, China. It's a really new kind of great opportunity to explore an emerging origin. We're going to be looking at about 4 of the 7 different growing regions in Yunnan. Going to look at transitional farms and how farms will transition from conventional to organic. We're also going to go to a couple organic coffee farms. I believe Ted Lingle is going to be on that trip as well, and he's going to be leading us through a lot of qualitative things that he's been doing and work that he's been doing in China as well. We're also going to be visiting a Chinese tea garden in Yunnan as well, which is super exciting. Yunnan is essentially the Ethiopia for tea, so it's like the birthplace of tea, and this is a really great opportunity to see and learn more about this culture and this process inherent. The other trip we have planned for early 2018 is in Costa Rica, and that's going to be February 18th through the 21st, or 24th rather. And this is in conjunction with the Barista Guild. It's a really great first-time Origin trip. It's super user-friendly. Costa Rica has Origin trips dialed in. I think this is going to be our 4th time going to Costa Rica as a guild. Going to learn more about just what Costa Rica has to offer as an origin, get to visit coffee farms, look at harvest and all of the processing, learn a lot more about the honey process and the micro mill revolution that's kind of been going on in Costa Rica for the last several years. And you get to visit eCafe, which is a world-class lab and research center as well. And we're also trying to work on our calendar for upcoming origin trips throughout the year, hopefully looking at Burundi, Indonesia, and Brazil, but we're kind of waiting on feedback. So if anyone's got any feedback about any origins that you're particularly interested in, please get in contact with the Roasters Guild or the CRG or SCA staff, and we'd love to hear some suggestions as we expand that out as well. And that's about it for origin trips. These are all works in progress. So, like I said, we're expanding our origin trips. So we're moving again away from usually 2 origin trips, and ideally we're going to be trying to plan about 4 or 6 origin trips a year. So that's something exciting to look for as well. Our other events calendar, we got retreat, camp, World Roasting Championships, and then the next thing that's coming up really soon is Sensory Summit as well. That's the dates are on there, 25th through the 27th of 2018. The goal of a Sensory Summit is to expose coffee professionals to a broad spectrum of sensory techniques and experiences. Sometimes the topics may not be coffee related, but it's really about exploring the interconnection of different processes and different types of products and how we can come together and learn from other businesses. So some of the things that we've included in the past, we're talking about honey and the honey wheel and different types of honey, cross relationships between beer and coffee, the interrelationship between how cacao grading works and what we're doing in grading. And this is also the place that we introduced the new SCA flavor wheel. So this is a really exciting opportunity to kind of delve deeper and kind of get more high level sensory and kind of coffee knowledge that people are really looking for in events. And we're also looking to expanding this event as well and possibly adding a lot more of these events in other geographies. So kind of keep a lookout for that as well. And that's it from the events update.
Wow, thank you, Steve. I don't know, did we, Conrad, did you want to add to the events?
Yes, if I could get a minute, yes, sure.
Absolutely.
So the events, I mean, the origin trip sounds really good. So I'm actually excited about it. So is the event calendar for 2018 also. But when Steven said that we're not gonna take away any of the events, he was definitely right. And we're gonna definitely expand as well. And saying this, like we would like to also be involved in the member-driven events at the national level. So if you have any ideas how we could be involved in and engage in your events, just please let us know, and we would definitely look to it. And with the exploring other geographies, that means that it's the event's not going to be, and I think Steven just mentioned this as well, they're not going to be only in Europe and in America, in North America, but they're also going to be in Asia and in other continents as well. So it's going to be definitely a global committee activities in the near future. That's all.
Fantastic, thank you, Conrad. To hear something about the membership structure, maybe we could jump in and ask Philip to help us with that.
Yes, hello everyone. Yeah, so according to the membership, what is ahead of us in that upcoming year, we need to develop membership structure and outreach. That sounds like a challenge, but when we go back to previously mentioned vision of what our goal is as a whole community, we need to work on creating an attractive environment that will include every roaster worldwide in our structure. So this is the true challenge actually that we have. But we have some experience in collaborating with a chapter system and with national bodies, so we feel kind of relaxed, maybe a little. We will use that experience in order to build the efficient organization, which will generate value added to all our members from wherever they come from and wherever they roast. In order to do so, we need you guys, we need everyone, every roaster to help us out to get engaged and to help us out to build that structure by giving us the feedback, giving us the information of what you want, how do you want to operate within the structure. That is a lot of work, especially taking into consideration the cultural differences and language issues, but we are full of optimism and energy because, you know, after all, coffee, specialty coffee is what is uniting all of us. So, right? I guess so, yeah. So if you want to get engaged and if you want to help us out to build that structure, you should get engaged and by becoming a member. And I guess Sonia will help you out with the information of how to get engaged. So passing on to Sonia.
Absolutely. Yeah, so now you have heard a little bit of what actually is coming and all the committees and what they stand for. We have those informations also, like Andy said, that they have been published. So you can also get to know a little bit more what's behind it. But so it's going to be interesting, and everybody, of course, all the members of the Coffee Roasters Guild can be part of the committees, and we urge everybody to just come up and send us email. And of course, it's a volunteer job, just to make sure that everybody understands that. But it's so much interesting job, and to get to know all these cultures. So as you can see on this slide, we have an email address, crg@sca.coffee. So we have both staff and officers and members of large that are looking into those emails. So please just send us a request if you have any questions or if you want to get involved. Please, we are open 24/7. If I can say so. Right? Ali, maybe Ali, you want to jump in and tell us a little bit what's coming?
Yes, I would be happy to do that. Hi again, everybody. So we'll let you take a look at this screen here, and many of you may already know that the membership structure of the SCA that was announced included the planned structure for the eventual Unified Coffee Roasters Guild. So for some of you, this may not be totally new information, but we're getting really great feedback from our members on this structure and how simple it is, and in many cases some companies are realizing some savings, but you as a member of SCA have the option to flag yourself as a member of Coffee Roasters Guild if you want to do that. There's also opportunities to join as an individual and become part of the Unified Coffee Roasters Guild. Anyone who is a current member of RGE or RG would just have their member transferred into and renew as a roaster individual member when the time comes, unless you work with our membership staff to do a different structure. Like if there's many people in your organization that are members, you probably want to do something more custom. So, and then the company individual member is the way to go if you are not a member and you need to join, and you're not an SCA member and your organization is not a member. So that's kind of what the structure is going to be, but we're pretty excited to offer that as a benefit. Let's take a look at the next slide. So just before we sign off, a little bit about what's next. So we're very, very excited about the progress that we've made thus far, and we have a couple of more tasks to complete. We're confident that we will be ready in time for an official launch and an announcement of the new brand. So all of the new logos and all of those items will be launched in mid-January 2018, and we're hoping to make that kind of exciting and really valuable for the members that are part of the heritage organizations as well as those coming on as part of CRG. And then the official launch, I think this was mentioned earlier, will be February 1st, 2018. So that's when the members that are the panelists and everybody that are joining as officers and advisory council members at large, when they will officially take office.
All right. Thank you, Ellie. So I think our slides are done. It went pretty quick, didn't it?
About 40, almost.
I'm a little concerned. I'm concerned that we are missing some information that we are not getting out there. But you saw the email, so you can always send us email, like I said a little bit before. Maybe
we can open up, for questions from our attendees as well.
Exactly. Emilio, there you are. I was looking for you.
I'm here. Yes, we can probably open up now, for our attendees. If you have any questions, we would gladly answer them. Or if you would like to volunteer just on this call, that would be very nice as well. Ellie or Lily, do we have any questions from the attendees?
No questions submitted yet, but just as a reminder, you can just click on the little raise hand icon if you want, and we can talk to you, or you can type it in the window. So we'll give it a minute, just until it feels really awkward. David Myers says, thanks, everyone.
Hey, David.
Hello, David. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question. This question is, can you touch on the difference between retreat and camp and the difference of curriculum planned? This is from Siobhan Gotelev. I think Philip Bartolak, do you want to talk about that? And then maybe Siva Emilio can add. I'll read it again. Can you touch on the difference between retreat and camp and the difference of curriculum planned?
Yes, of course. I'm privileged because I was attending both of those camps, the retreat and the camp, just a few months ago. So I'm very into that topic. So, both of the events organized by the Roasters Guild and European Roasters Guild are having their specific atmosphere and the flow, which is beautiful. And I think from my perspective, it was beautiful that they were complementing each other. It was one was more structured, the other one was giving a lot of fresh air with some questions going on and so on and so on. So we actually want to keep that same system, because if they work well, then why not? Just let's leave it like this. As for the curriculum, we need to speak the common language. So we have to have some parts that are in common. And this is the curriculum that we have to have that in line. And and that's it. So we will have some of the classes, some of the education, which is going to be in line in both. What we have one system now, but we're not going to make it different in Europe, Asia, and in US and elsewhere. So we're just going to do the curriculum the same way everywhere to have the common language, but we will keep the atmosphere and the flow and the way of dealing and doing things the way they were, because that was the beauty of it. I guess
if I may add as well, I had also the experience of having already gone to both events. I've been to 15 of the 17 retreats, and I've been to one of the 2 European camps. And I have to say, well, first of all, the retreat is about 300 people. Camp is a little more intimate, I would say. Like it used to feel like back in the day at retreat when it was only like 150, 200 people. But there's still, that felt really good because it's a smaller crowd where you get to know most people, very well in those 4 days. A lot of teamwork, a lot of obviously also lectures. but you know, the groups that you break out into are smaller. So again, there's more time to discuss and all that. But both, you know, both events are amazing, and both events also, you know, have our structure of lectures, and you know, also that work team or teamwork events as a challenge, or you know, things that activities that, you know, bring us together as a team again.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions. This next one is from Carlos Andres Barona, and Carlos asks, hello everybody, would it be required deep expertise for volunteering in any of the committees? Thank you. Andy, are you still here? Do you want to touch on that?
I am still here. I'd be happy to touch on that. Absolutely not. Obviously, having deep expertise is very helpful, but what actually makes a committee thrive, in my opinion, is a diverse slate of people who are newer to the industry and or newer to the area, who are enthusiastic and who are open to bringing fresh ideas to some things that some other folks have long-standing ideas about. So I think it's a great committee thrives with a diversity of experience. Does that seem to resolve the question? Or
thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Sonia, would you like to add to that? I think Sonia has so much experience volunteering with different committees and different organizations within the SCA, including WCE, SCAA, and SCAE. So I think it would be great to get Sonia's perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Andy. I mean, we are looking for like the diverse and skills, and so it's, you know, everybody can participate. Of course, if you know a little bit about the trade, of course you are much more likely to get more knowledge and develop as a personal a professional. But we are always like looking into broaden our committees and broaden our volunteers. So we definitely are open for all kinds of skills. I mean, I think if you look at the people on the call, I'm pretty sure that we all have like different skill sets, you know, so people are coming from different parts of trades, but we all meet in coffee, and so we all use our skills in coffee. So that's why I love working with different kinds of cultures, and in all these committees we have so much variety of cultures of people from all over the world, and this is all because we are brought together by different skill sets, but we communicate in coffee. If that makes sense.
That's great.
I'm sorry about the long answer, you know.
Can I add one thing back to my response? This is Andy again. Is that okay,
Go
Ellie?
for it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're like, you could mute me, you know, you have power. I just wanted to add back that I feel really strongly, which probably came across in terms of you don't need to have a certain level of experience to be a very important active member. I would also point out that the committee chairs will be looking to make sure that it truly is a diversity. So they're going to try to populate their committees with some people who are very experienced in the subject area, but combine that with some people who might be less experienced but are interested in learning more. Just throw that out.
I think that's great. And we had another question that was redacted, but one of our members asked, where can we find out information of how to register interests? And currently that information is on both the Roasters Guild and the RGE websites, and it is a here, I'll just put, there's a one on the SCA website as well, so sca.coffee/volunteer, and someone can get in touch with you and make sure that you have the opportunity to join a committee, because as the panelists have made really clear, I mean, this is the guild activity for you and by you, and anyone has something to contribute regardless of how long you've been a member. So we have another question. Are there plans to have additional Sensory Summit events in regions outside of Davis for 2018 events program? I mean, I can probably answer that. We have one additional event outside the US for Sensory Summit in the current budget. And, you know, this is just a little bit of a technicality, but the budget is in the process of being approved by the board right now. So because it's a new event, it's, you know, we try to, I think we're very optimistic, and that's definitely the plan, that we're looking at doing a Sensory Summit activity in Asia. I think this was also mentioned on the previous webinar, but nothing has really changed since then. It's still definitely the plan, but it's going to really depend on if the budget is approved, and that's expected within the next couple of weeks. Steve or anyone, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, again, we are looking to explore and expand and see what the opportunities are. I'm working with, again, the budget, and also looking at campuses and facilities that can accommodate the type of curriculum and program that we're looking for. And definitely there's a huge emerging market in Asia, and there's been lots of interest and inquiries in Asia. So that's sort of a built-in market, it seems, and we are really focusing and looking towards that direction. So.
Yeah, I'm really building some value, so we can look at reaching coffee roasters there as well and motivating new members. So we have a question from Bill Flanagan from France. So Bill, I'm actually going to unmute you if that's okay, because I think this question might be, if you can give it to us in your own words, I think it will be really helpful. So let me just.
Okay,
hi, Bill,
sure.
are you there?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello. Okay, cool. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, it's like a Poland reunion. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, you know, I've been down here. By the way, Marseille is kind of really starting to kind of just start to kick off. It's really cool. A couple new specialty shops coming in, and it's just like it's like everybody's just starved for specialty coffee. But you know, thinking about that, I really, there's such a big gap between how roasters in France have been roasting coffee traditionally to how we roast it here. And you know, I was thinking about, you know, basically looking at heritage members, like maybe like a state like North Carolina, or I don't know, I'm just saying North Carolina, or maybe Tennessee or something, where, you know, it was kind of late to get to specialty coffee, and like events that could be inclusive to drive membership. Maybe ideas about that. I know, you know, I'm going to be helping out a little bit with the membership committee, but I'm just trying to brainstorm ideas. And so if you guys who've had more experience like this can think of those types of events, it would be really, you know, like maybe just a weekend event or something that we could have to kind of just bring people in and be, you know, more kind of open and approachable to bring people into the fold, essentially.
I can speak to that a little bit. This is Steve. You know, we're starting to work a little bit on the chapter system, and so honestly, like in organizing local roasting groups, I think is great. I have like a local roasting group that I've organized in my area in Los Angeles. I know Jen also has a local roasting group in the Bay Area, and a lot of us we put on events. Some ideas is just like sort of like initial ideas is just bring your own coffee and cup it and kind of have a discussion. The holidays is coming up, and I've done holiday blend tastings in the past. Like a lot of companies in the US do sort of like an annual seasonal holiday blend. So just, you know, calling up all your friends and just gathering a bunch of holiday blends and seeing different expressions of holiday blends. And just really it starts with getting the community together and bridging the gap and just starting to communicate, starting to create a network of people and building that level of trust. And once you get that level of trust, you can start really discussing the roasting and the roasting process and like kind of opening the envelope and pushing it forward and like really hammering through like more technical ideas of how roasting works. But I think really getting some community building kind of efforts out there and just kind of like fun things to do. I've also done like a regional Scotch tasting for my roasting group and stuff like that. So it's really just a drinking group, but generally it involves coffee as well. And, you know, these are just really great ways to build the community, and that you have outreach and, you know, people to go to when you have questions, you have problems, or people that now you have a network of people that really, I think, is the value of the guild, and in that community part where you have a problem, you have a question, you have people in your locale to go to help to fix those, or to just like bounce ideas off of. So just getting started on any way is, I think, a great idea. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts or suggestions on that either.
Actually, yeah, Michael Brady posted in the question that he has some questions / comments to add. You there, Michael?
I am, yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
So yeah, that was a very good question, and and I'm glad it was unmuted, because it's kind of like, how do you really type this out and make sense? But so I'm a Roasters Guild member in Nebraska, and we're a pretty small group of folks, but there is a ton of interest from people here, and so I have an interest in kind of starting some type of small group, and just really kind of didn't have an idea on, not the curriculum, so to speak, but, you know, how to present it and things like that. And the previous answer was really great to kind of hear, just kind of get it started and taste coffee, and then I think people will just kind of show up to it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of opportunities. I mean, I also had the luxury down here. We had like a large production facility that was doing like more commercial coffee. So, and I knew some people there. So, I mean, just anything involving coffee, I took them to like a large roasting plant where they had continuous roasters, and we're buying, and then did a tasting of everything from like grade 5 Sumatra to grade 1 Sumatra, and like Brazil grinders to like really high level micro lots. Again, just exploring all there is to offer in coffee, if you have those resources, or even just like reaching out to some of your partners. Some of your vendors would probably be happy to help out in that way as well, and just really getting the community started, getting these things that, if they're interesting to you, they're probably interesting to other coffee roasters. And if you know other coffee roasters, then you should really invite them. And if you don't know other coffee roasters, you should like try to figure that one out too, and like get to know other coffee roasters, because like those are your best resources, I think, is that community again. And talking to other coffee roasters really helps to build your confidence, to feel like you have a network of people that, you know, you can really move forward, and that you're not really alone in this whole thing. And that's the suggestion I have.
Could I add something else as well? So currently in the roastersguild.org page, website, there's already, you know, if you go on the events tab, there's already a member-driven events page where, you know, there's a series of steps that you can take to host an event, and we give you ideas on how to structure it, and we even have an online request form to host one. So, you know, that, you know, we're starting from something that it was already, you know, done, but we do want to make it more, again, inclusive and more diverse in which regions of the world we can do this, or which regions or communities around the country you can have these at. So we already have that, and it's very useful for anyone to just go onto our website and request that. And I'm pretty sure we'll have it a more revised form on our new website. So it's already there.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I also want to point out that that we had some happy news like last year in Roasters Camp in Estonia, that we had some roasters from Ireland, for example, three roasters of 3 different companies that they knew of each other, but they didn't know each other. But after Roasters Camp, they suddenly, you know, got started to speak, and then in the end they actually made a group. So they formed a group that is now kind of representing Roasters Guild in Ireland. But they don't only do everything with coffee. They also communicate with other trades, like with wine and with whiskey, and So you can always like combine with groups like that, because that gives you also a different aspect of your coffee. I mean, hooking up with beer people or whiskey people and trying to, you know, finalize the profile of your coffee with the profile of the whiskey or the beer. So that's a little bit of a passion of mine, but I really like it when I hear of groups like this, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be more and more.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the answer. I really appreciate it.
Bill, did that work for you? Did you get your
yeah,
question?
that's great. Yeah, definitely. You know, not only bringing in other roasters, but maybe bringing in some of the other, you know, because the French love, you know, food pairings, and it's, you know, just unfortunately coffee's kind of been left behind in the culture here. So now all of a sudden there's this new discovery, like, you know, and it's, so I think that's also a great thing, you know, maybe even with hooking up with chefs around the Marseille area as well would be. Thanks, Sonia, for that.
No problem.
We have a hand raised, so I'm going to unmute Juan Hall. Let's see. Can we hear you, Juan? Looks like there's some problems with the audio. Give me another second. Let's see. Can't seem to hear him. All right, let's see. Looks like we have another question. Michael Kavanaugh says, thank you, very informative, back to work. Good reminder that we are at the top of the hour. Thanks, Michael. So with that, I think that we'll thank everyone for your attention, and like I think Andy said, or somebody, taking the time in the middle of your workday to join this webinar, and for your interest and support of the unified CRG. Really great to see everyone here. Thank you for coming. And if you do have follow-up questions, certainly the form is a great place to start, or you can email us crg@sca.coffee. Thanks, everyone. This recording will be available as well. So if you have folks that want to watch the recording but couldn't attend, this will be distributed. So thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
See you out there. Bye-bye.
Talk very soon. Cheers.
Good afternoon.